Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Risa Morimoto, your host, and you're watching Modern Aging, where we chat about new and holistic ways to age and care for one another. Be sure to click on that subscribe button and that little bell so you're sure to be notified whenever new episodes are uploaded. Today is kind of a hard day. It's a sad day. My mom, if you watched the previous episode, my mom is now in hospice, and that's something that my siblings and my family basically and I have been dealing with. And to be honest, it's been like this crazy roller coaster of emotions, and kind of going from hysterically crying because you know what's going to happen to then kind of being cool about it and saying, this is the best thing. For some of you may know, my mom basically had a stroke 19 years ago, a massive stroke, and it left her with paresis on the right side. She then developed Parkinson's about 10 years ago, so we've been caregiving for her for 19 years now. And my dad has dementia. But my mom recently was diagnosed with a tumor that was inoperable in her uterine, and so we knew that this was kind of the beginning of the end. And we've always been very open about talking about death and end-of-life issues, and I think it's so super important to start those conversations with your loved ones. It's allowed us to really be able to care for her in a way that she wants and make sure that she has the quality of life that she wants. And I can't even express to you how much that means to me. So there's a lot of stress that comes along with that. And if you know what they're looking for, if you know what's in their best interest, and then also what they really want, it makes it a lot easier on us. So hospice has come in, and we talked about that in the other video in terms of kind of the protocol and the steps that kind of go into hospice. The social worker has been coming in, the nurse has been coming in. There was a clergy person who came in to talk with her, a physical therapist that came in and talked with her. So they come in every week on rotation, which has been great. And honestly, it's been really great for us as a family to know that we have this support system, because when it actually does happen, that's when basically the shit's going to hit the fan emotionally. And I don't know how. Honestly, I just don't know how we're going to handle it. And that's the weird thing, is that you see it coming down the pike. You know it's going to happen, and you know there's going to be a sense of relief, and you know there's going to be a sense of peace because she won't be in pain anymore. But of course, that also means profound sadness. And even though it's the end of her life, I am determined to make sure that it's a good one. And so with that today, I also want to talk about funeral preparations, because that's what I've kind of been tasked to do. And my mom wants a home funeral. We had a home funeral for my uncle about 10 years ago, and it was really an amazing, lovely experience to just be with the ones that you really love, the people who really knew him and cared about him. And yes, while it was sad, it was really nice to have it at home. So my mom has requested to do that. And so I've been looking at alternative funerals, and there's actually quite a few options out there, which I did not realize. Funerals, first of all, can be expensive. They can be like $10,000, which is insane. So dying is not a cheap effort at all. And so there's a lot of things that you need to do in order to make sure these things happen. If you do go through hospice, you can, once she's pronounced dead, you call hospice, and they take care of declaring the death and doing those kind of procedures. And then we would call our funeral home. We've chosen Fitting Tributes, so I'm on my computer. So Fitting Tribute Funeral Services, they're based in Brooklyn. There's actually many different funeral services all over the country. But what I really liked about Amy, who is the head of Fitting Tribute, is that we had like a lot of discussions since then, and now we're kind of coming to the final decisions of what mom wants, what the family wants, and how to best make sure that everything happens when it needs to happen. We had a nice long conversation about what happens immediately after death and how to place her body Yes, we could call hospice and they can take the body away, which is traditionally what happens, and they take it to a funeral home, which then they embalm and they dress the body. Embalming is actually really toxic and really hard on the body. And if anybody's ever been to a wake or a funeral, you know that it actually never looks like the person. And that's always kind of disturbing, to be quite honest, for me, that it doesn't look anything like the essence of the person. And I didn't realize that you actually don't have to embalm, which is pretty awesome. So for us, we're going to do a home funeral. And what they do is that Amy and her staff at Fitting Tribute is actually going to come to the house. They're just going to bring some dry ice, and then we are going to lay that underneath my mother's body, which has to happen, within 4 hours of her dying. We have to close the mouth, which she has taught us how to do. It all sounds pretty morbid, but quite honestly, I think it's also going to be quite cathartic for us to be able to take care of our mother in this way. And I know it's not for everybody, but for us and our family and how close we are and how okay we are with end of life issues, I think it's just an amazing way to bring closure to my mom's life. So with that, everything, and then she's also going to be cremated. So there are different kinds of cremations. You can have direct cremation, which means the body doesn't even go into a casket. It goes straight to the crematorium. For my mom, we are going to have a service at home. And so I had to go through and pick out a casket, which honestly is a little bit weird. But, after looking at the caskets, it's kind of cool what people are doing now. It's amazing with all these creative ideas people are having. There's this beautiful basket that you decorate with flowers. That was beautiful. People are doing ceremonies around the casket. If you know they're going to get cremated, the other alternative is you can have a cardboard box and you decorate the box and it becomes part of the ceremony as everyone decorates it with drawings or pictures of the person and is able to tell stories. So my siblings and I have been fighting about what kind of casket mom should have. My feeling was trying to save more money just because we knew that she was going to be cremated. My sister, on the other hand, wants something pretty much more elaborate. So I talked to Amy about it and we were able to come to a great solution. She gave me this website here, which is this Canadian casket maker. And he has his website. It's basically put it together yourself. We're lucky because we have a very handy family, so my brother can put it together pretty easily, and it's much more cost effective. If you look around at how much caskets cost, they're in the thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you're going to cremate, it may not be the optimal thing that you want to do, but it really depends on you and your family. So we decided to get this pine box, and we haven't gotten it yet. It's supposed to come next week. So when it does, I'm excited to show you guys because I'm actually really curious in terms of how this whole thing is going to work as well. So once mom passes, we have the casket. We're going to have a home funeral, and we'll have one day for the wake where friends and family can come. And then the next day will be more private where we actually just go to the crematorium and have her cremated. There's so many different things that you have to pay for that ends up just adding up in terms of cost. So you have the transfer costs, if you need pallbearers, you need pallbearer costs. If you have to drive, you have to remove a lot of times the funeral home will take care of all these costs, so you're not sitting there trying to rearrange these things. You have supervision costs, you have visitation, you have the cremation. When you have a cremation, if you want to have a ceremony beforehand and a viewing of the body beforehand, you can do that, but that of course costs money. You have to buy death certificates, and that's to close out all of that person's accounts. You'll always have to have proof, and that is with a death certificate. In New York, it costs $10 per certificate, so we'll have to get a bunch of those. And then what other kinds of, shrouds? So basically when my mother does pass, we will have to put her in a shroud or whatever clothing. She's going to be wearing a kimono, so it'll be a little bit different, but people get shrouded in a special way, and they'll help us with that. And that is also handled by a funeral home if you so desire, but you can also do it as a family. It's hard to articulate the emotions that go through your head and your body as you know what's the kind of imminent end that's going to be happening soon. But I think it's so important to share this information. I think it's so important to share this experience with you guys, because this is something that most of us are going to go through. Only 10% of people will die suddenly, and the rest of us will have time and know when that death is going to be coming, so there'll be time to plan. And if we are able to plan in a way that creates some peace and closure and comfort for the person who's dying, as well as the family and loved ones, I think that's an amazing way we can honor that person's life. I hope some of this information has been helpful to you. I'll put the websites down below in the description, so you can go and take a look for yourself. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comment sections as well. I'm hoping that this information is super helpful. And if it is, please note it in the comment section below. I am going to continue this series so that you're there with me in terms of what this experience is like. And hopefully we'll all learn something. I'm learning along with you, quite frankly, so we'll see how it goes.